Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2, honours even, points shared at the Amex. A very interesting game. It's just finished here, and I just did finish the watch along as well. My takeaways are, I did say before the game, I hate to be the guy that does the I told you so thing, but I always thought there'd be a score draw here. I did say 2-2. I wish I put a bet on it. I never did. But listen, it was an interesting game. Tottenham had the vast majority of the possession. I think that was by design from Brighton. I think that they probably thought before the game, listen, Tottenham, they're good at scoring from set pieces. If we can be resolute and fairly steady in those regards from corner kicks and free kicks and all that, then we should be okay. Let them have the ball in open play. Let's see if they can overcome their creative deficiencies. And for the most part, that tactic worked, especially when they wanted to break against us. In the first half, look, I think we'll come to the specific tactics in a minute, but obviously that particular tactic worked very well until the second half, when we finally got ourselves back in the game, 2-2 late on. And then Brighton came alive again. From the time that they scored their second goal until the time that we scored our second goal, it was basically all Tottenham. And that is the tale of the tape. It's a tale of a tactic that maybe the Brighton manager will come to regret, not being a little bit more balanced. For what it's worth, Tottenham went into the game making a few tactical decisions that were probably surprises to most. First and foremost, Udogie coming into the team to replace Xavi Simons. Bentancur coming back in to replace Pape Sarr. And Jed Spence coming into the team to replace... Destiny Udogie coming into the team to replace Jed Lee King, Jed Spence. And so a new look left-hand side, which we'll come to in a second. But in terms of the actual overarching game, for me, look, the game started well for Tottenham. I thought we were very good. I was looking for more balance. I've spoken to you guys all week about the balance that Brighton can present with Mitoma on the left, Minte on the right-hand side, and obviously players like Rutter through the middle. They have a lot of strength, pace, technicality, and that dual threat, which becomes very, very difficult. A lot of Tottenham fans were worried about what would happen with Jed Spence out of the team today. Will Destiny Udogie be able to handle the likes of Minte, who is a wonderful, wonderful, gifted player? And I think the answer is absolutely yes, he did. He was far better than Jed Spence going forward, and he was very tidy defensively for the most part. Tottenham started the game very, very, very well on the front foot. I was very excited, but Brighton set up to counter, and when they finally did, I think it was Veltman that won the ball back and then gave it to Belieber. I might be mistaken on that, who launched the ball forward. And at the time, because of the position and the phase of play that we were in, Van der Ven was out of position. Romero was too far away from Minte, and Destiny Udogie couldn't get back in time. The pace that he has versus the pace and the starting positions of those guys basically allowed him a one-on-one with Vicario, and with consummate ease, he rounded the keeper and stuck it home and took us 1-0 down very early on in the game. I think it was about the 10th or 11th minute or something like that. From that point on, it was mainly Tottenham. We didn't let our heads drop. And again, I was very interested to see whether or not we were going to be attacking mainly down our right-hand side, or whether we would actually go down the left-hand side and try to offer that dual threat. And I think for the most part, we did. I think Tottenham did very well in trying to balance it out. My criticism of Destiny of Wilson Udogie is limited. I thought he had a good game. I thought he grew into the second half. I thought he started to do some of the things that I wanted him to do in the first half as the game progressed. But in the first half, my frustration with him is, whilst Destiny Udogie did fantastic things with the ball to get the ball forward, there was lots of triangles down the left-hand side. Van der Ven, Destiny Udogie, and Polinia sort of aligning a little bit down that left-hand side with Bentancur as well. But when it got to Udogie's first thought was always to pass it inside, pass it backwards, pass it back to Destiny Udogie, wherever Udogie was. Udogie was certainly more inverted than Udogie was. And that wasn't necessarily a problem, because good things came from it. Good outcomes happened. Udogie got to the byline 2 or 3 times and took it past Veltman, and actually managed to get to the byline and try to pull it back. There was a chance for Lucas Berghvall early doors in the game to get the equaliser, and it was just pulled back a second too much, second too quick. And I think it was Van Hecker or Lewis Dunk that managed to clear the ball out for a corner kick. For what it's worth, Tottenham had about 12 corner kicks in the game relative to Brighton's 2. If you look at most of the other stats, there wasn't a lot of difference. Apart from passes, because Tottenham had the lion's share of the possession. Everything else was about the same amount of shots on target, about the same amount of shots on goal, about the same amount of fouls, of tackles, all of these things. It was basically a very even Steven game, just two different styles. And styles makes fights. And I think that it was a pretty good game. So I did enjoy watching it. I would say, like I say, the Udogie experiment on the left hand side, I think for the most part it worked in terms of chemistry. It worked in terms of relationship. It allowed Destiny Udogie to get forward and really show and present himself as an alternative to Jedley King, Jed Spence. But actually, I think for the most part in the first half, Udogie didn't do much apart from facilitate Destiny Udogie's great running, which isn't necessarily a problem, but it's the polar opposite of what Mohamed Kudus was doing on the right-hand side. Pedro Porro is a wonder at either whipping the ball in. He put the ball in 7-8 times today into really dangerous areas. Unfortunately, Richalison didn't have a great game with his positional sense. I don't think he had a spectacular. I know he scored the goal that got us back into the game. That was more fortuitous than by design, in my opinion. But for the most part, there was lots of fantastic balls being whipped in from Pedro Porro. And for the other part of Pedro Porro's game, I'll come to defensively in a second. He was getting the ball forward to Kudus. And Kudus, look, you might argue that he's too selfish. You might argue that he wants to carry the ball too long. He holds on to it too long. But he had a wonderful, wonderful afternoon against Kadioglu, who I thought was actually a very, very good player going forward with Brighton. I thought Kadioglu had a really good game linking up on the left-hand side. But generally speaking, defensively, Mohamed Kudus had him on toast. And if it wasn't for just some better defending from Lewis Dunk and Van Hecke, and I thought Van Hecke was excellent today. I'll come to the second half in a second where he obviously gave away his own goal, which is unfortunate for him. But I generally thinking, my general thoughts were that the centre-backs had a pretty good afternoon. So we're 1-0 down from a breakaway where, as I say, Minte breaks through, takes it around the keeper. He shouldn't have even been on the pitch, not because he should have been sent off, but because he had an injury in the pre-game. The doctor came on. Apparently, he forced himself on to play and he carried on even late on in the first half. I think his back was hurting him and he still managed to make it through most of the game. So what a player he really is. He's so very, very talented, fast, strong, powerful. And Brighton do have a lot of talent in that kind of ability to counter. The second goal comes from a mistake from Lucas Berghvall, who I didn't think had a great first half. I thought he was absolutely appalling, giving the ball away when he had it. When he tried to pass, there was constant transitions from him in bad positions. And when he did have it in better positions, he ran too much with it. He likes to carry the ball rather than pass it. You can see that generally speaking, he's better at carrying the ball than he is at passing. But some of the times he was just doing blind passes, and it cost us in the sort of 30th minute or 33rd minute, I think it was. He gives the ball away. He wins the ball back in Pedro Porro's sort of section in the right back position, wins the ball back in a tight duel, does very well, but then puts a blind pass out into a dangerous area, and it falls straight to Ayari, and Ayari sort of turns, creates a bit of space for himself, has a pot shot from distance. I think he just about catches it with a slight outside of the right foot, and it goes into the top bins or into the sort of middle bins, if you like, in the right-hand corner. Listen, I'm not going to take anything away. It was a fantastic shot from a very good player. But for me, this is a problem that I've been saying with regards to Vicario. I just don't think his positional sense is very good. I know I think we all agree that he needs to work on his passing game. For the most part, I think that people think that he's a very good shot stopper. I think he's a very good shot stopper in heat of the moment, in instantaneous kind of instinct type reactions where he's got very little time to think about it. In situations like that, I've always got question marks around his positioning. He planted his feet too late. He was beaten. He got a fingertip to it, but it was a weak hand. We're 2-0 down against the run of play. Very tough time to go to Brighton and be 2-0 down. Do Tottenham's heads drop? No, they do not. From the second goal, and I'm going to see if I can bring this up on the screen for you right now, guys. From the second goal until the time that we scored our second goal, it was largely all Tottenham Hotspur with the play. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, I'll bring it on the screen right now. So we can see the first goal. It was all of us. We can see the first goal. Brighton then have a bit of a run of play. Then it's a bit mixed. They score their second goal, obviously, from that Berghvall mistake. And then from then on, as you can see on the screen here, from about the 35th minute until the end of the first half, when Tottenham score their first goal, which I'll come to in a second, all the way through until about the 80th minute when Tottenham score their second goal, it's largely all Tottenham. It's largely all Tottenham. As soon as that happened, it becomes 2-2. All of a sudden, Brighton come alive again. maybe there's a lesson there to be learned, as I said on the live stream, not that dissimilar and quite reminiscent to how we used to play with Mourinho. You go one goal up and then you think, oh, you know what? I'll let the other team have the ball and we'll protect and hold on until you get found out. And then you've got to pick up the pieces in the last 5 minutes. Look, 2-2, as I say, from all the stats, looks like a fair result. But anyway, we are 2-1. We're 2-0 down. And then eventually we get that chance. I think the ball's whipped in. I think it was from Porro initially. And then it comes back out. It falls to Kudos, who whips the ball in. And it sort of bounces around. And then Richalison gets his foot on the ball in a melee. And we go 2-1 up. He doesn't celebrate. There was a VAR sort of challenge chance, whatever. And it was cancelled off. And Tottenham go to 2-1 down with about 43 minutes to go 43 minutes on the clock. A brilliant way to kind of finish the first half to get ourselves back in the game. If we go 3-0 down, it's game over. It's 2-1 back in the game. However, at halftime, I'm saying Berghvall needs to be taken off. Richarlison's had a stinker. Apart from the goal, I thought he was horrendous. I generally thought Udogie was the best player on the pitch. I thought Porro played very well. And again, in the second half, I'll speak about the second half now. I thought Porro defended very, very well in one-on-ones again. He's starting to emerge, starting to get a little bit more confidence that he's learning the art of defending where need be. And he has a decent relationship with Romero. On the right-hand side, Kudos was our bright spark on the right. Obviously, he doesn't let himself down in that regard. But there are question marks around, does he pick the right times to release the ball? Does he over-egg the pudding a little bit? For me, though, Bentancur, Berghvall, they weren't really pulling up any trees in that kind of creative end in the midfield. Thought Polina was okay. We go in at halftime. We come out, no changes. A couple of changes, or one change initially for Brighton. We come out and do much of the same. It's all Tottenham. It's all Tottenham from the word go until the substitutions come on in around about the 60th minute. I think it was. I think Bentancur came off initially for Xavi Simons. We see Xavi Simons play in the 10 for the first time, and my God, he was fantastic. Right, everything just suddenly clicked. He's bringing the ball through. He had a shot on target that was a wonderful bit of trickery from him. Too much space afforded. Great save from Verbruggen. He gets a second chance where he puts it a little bit. I think he had 2 or 3 chances that he whips one wide with the outside of his foot. He puts one, tries to round it with the inside of his foot. Also goes wide. 2 or 3 shots from Polina in the 10. Surely that has to be the solution. Now we play him in the 10 and we figure out what to do with regards Bentancur, Berghvall, and Sarr, because for me, Xavi Simons was a bit of a difference maker for me in the second half in terms of the freedom and the ability to play. Berghvall coming back, when Bentancur came off, Berghvall picked up his game in the second half. I wanted him to come off. I thought he was terrible in the first half. In the second half, there were moments where I saw him win 3 sliding tackles in the same phase in about 5 or 6 seconds. He was much, much better playing in the 8. I think in the 10, he runs around a little bit too much. I think he's a little bit too sloppy. But in the 8, in the second half, at least, he came alive. Kudos was fantastic throughout the second half. Keep taking on Kadioglu, keep winning the possession, keep getting to the byline, pulled it back. And if we had a better number 9 or someone in the box that was a little bit more aerial centric with their ability to score goals and get into the right position, being able to read that kind of flight a little bit better, I think we would have had better outcomes and gone on to win the game. I really did. I think that, look, guys, I'll leave it there. I'm not going to go through too much and more. I've been going for 14 minutes. For me, 2-2 was a fair result. 2-2 was the result I thought it was going to be before the game. I don't think you can sit there and say because we had the most possession, we therefore deserve to win. I'm not going to sit there or that we deserve more out of the game. That was Brighton's tactic. That was how they set up to play. And they came alive. When we got our second goal, an own goal from Van Hekke, who, like I say, I thought was fantastic on the day. He won every header. We had 12 corners, I think it was. I don't remember us doing anything from any of them. Van Hekke and Lewis Dunk were sensational, clearing most of those things away. And look, we fought, we carried on, we kept our heads up, and I was really impressed with that. I'm impressed with Thomas Frank going brave away from home and changing, taking out of your team the big star boy, in Xavi Simons. And when he came on, he looked energetic and he looked far, far better in the 10 than he does on the left. I think this rams home the need. I think it's very obvious what we all think it. I'm going to say it, but I'm not saying anything you don't already think. That if we can go and get a left winger that can replicate a template, a spawn, a duplicate of a Mohamed Kudus type of player on the left, like a Lookman, someone like him on the left-hand side, and then you have Xavi Simons in the 10, then you can pivot and play around with the formations and the 8 and the 6 and everything else as much as you want, but you have an incredible kind of balance and width to that. I thought that Odegaard didn't do badly today. And in the second half, I think he took players on as well. He got to the byline, he did well, but he just doesn't do it with the confidence, the exuberance, the consistency, and the success rates as what Kudus can do. And if you're going to do this system the way I think we should be doing it, and I hope the way that Thomas Frank, wants to do it, then we really need to have that guy on the left-hand side, and we need a better 9, don't we? We need someone better than Richarlison. I didn't think he had a good game. As I say, no disrespect. He got the goal. He kept us in the game, but he just was largely irrelevant. Mathys Tel can't play the 9. Listen, Dom Solanke, we haven't really seen in the Thomas Frank system, so we'll wait and see on that one. But for me, guys, look, 2-2, decent result. We're 10 points from 15. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Brighton away is usually a nice, nasty place. You can't win them all. Man City lost away at Brighton. Most teams don't do well at Brighton. I thought we were well worthy of the point. I think if anyone deserved to win, it was us. But if I'm honest, I think the point was the fair result. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Thomas Frank. Are you impressed with his bravery in the changes? For me, Destiny Udogie was the man of the match. For me, I thought he was brilliant today. Defensively, I thought he was brilliant against a very, very, very good player in Minte. I thought going forward in the first half and until he came off. Did he come off? I think he did come off. Until towards the end anyway. I thought he was spectacular defensively as well and going forward. So for me, Destiny Udogie reminding everybody that Jed Spence and Pedro Porro are not necessarily the only two people to play in the fullback zones. I've never doubted Destiny Udogie. He's fast, he's pacey, he does offer threats. He did put the ball into dangerous zones in the first half. And I think he offers that balance whilst we're waiting for that left winger option. Let's just see how Tottenham decide to work in this problematic period when we can't get into the next window and we have to get a left winger and a 9. If we get those things done, then my only other concern, like I say, guys, I just generally have concerns about Vicario. Let me know if you agree. I didn't think Romero and Van der Ven had spectacular games. I thought Romero was better in the second half. Van der Ven, I didn't really notice too much from, so I'm not going to sit here and criticise, but, where was he for the first goal? Pedro Porro, fine. Berghvall grew into the game, was so much better. Chalk and cheese in the first half, but his first half was a stinker. So I'm still going to say Berghvall wasn't good enough. And on that basis, I think if you're going to do this rotation thing, maybe the next game should go to Pape Sarr. Still think Berghvall's had a fantastic start to the season. I'm not going to overly criticise, but just call it a spade on the day. I think Berghvall was better in the later stages, but terrible in the first half and quite responsible for quite a lot of our issues. Either way, guys, 2-2. We're currently second. Over to City and Arsenal tomorrow to figure out how they get on. Like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, come on, you Spurs.